This is your captain speaking. I'd like to thank you for choosing Norris English Pub for your brewery today. We know that you have other choices available in craft beer. That's why we try hard to give you a good product and selection for your drinking pleasure. Now please sit back, grab a cold one, as we take a flight through 4 different beer styles. There's bound to be something you'll like. Hey guys, as some of you know, I was a professional airline pilot for over 30 years, and I was fortunate enough to be able to drink beer in all 50 states, countries from Lima, Peru, up through Anchorage, Alaska, across Canada, into Europe, down through Africa, back through the islands in the Atlantic, Central America, South America, and Mexico. So I can tell you, you don't have to travel far to find good beer. That being said, when you go to a brewery, I suggest you get a flight. Today we're just going to do 4, because I know you all have quarantine duties, so I don't want to take too much of your time. But when you go to a brewery, getting a flight of beer is a good way to check out the brewery. To kind of see what their signature is. Some breweries are heavy on IPAs or sours or dark beers or heavy beers. They have their genre of what they like. But getting a flight of beer might be good for you. If you're a style drinker, you have your particular style that you like, get a flight of beer. A little bit of everything. Flight of beer is usually only equivalent to 1 beer, so it's not going to break you. You might find out that there's something else that you like. So with that being said, we'll start off with our light beer, which when people come into the pub, they'll get a flight and then they'll go, well, how should I drink these? And I'm like, well, start with the light beer, work your way up through the hoppier beers, more flavorful ones. Darker beers, and the specialty beers. So our light beer today here is a cream ale. Cream ales are the predecessor to the typical American light beer. It's a nice, clean, crisp beer. A lot of times it's brewed with some adjuncts like flaked corn or rice to clean them up. They're light, crispy, 4.5%. They're not too hoppy, just enough there to balance out that sugar sweetness. It's kind of a lawnmower beer. Cream ales, yeah, they're nice beer. Since we've opened the pub, I've found that there's quite a following of the Little Kings cream ale from down Cincinnati. Apparently it was very popular back in the day with many people. But cream ale is kind of an old style. It's been around a long time. We did get a silver medal for that at the U.S. Beer Open a few years ago. So the cream ale, it's a nice one. And our juicy IPA, our hoppiness beer. It's that East Coast style, hazy, juicy IPA. You can just barely see through it. A little bit orange juicy, maybe. A lot of late edition hops. Tons of hops in this beer, but they all come in towards the end, so you don't get that bitterness. The IBU hoppiness factor that a lot of people talk about is pretty low, probably down there in that 30 range. But we put a lot of hops in. We use Amarillo, Summit, and Mandarina Bavaria in the fermenter. We dry hop it 3 times. So it has a lot of flavor, aroma. Lots of nice juiciness going on there. It's a nice flavorful beer. And our dark beer selection here is our chocolate porter, which is kind of a take on our typical porter, our dark night, but we use a lot more of the chocolate malts in it, and a little bit of actually dark chocolate in it, to give it that just a hint of chocolateness. Yeah, the chocolate malts, they're these guys up here. They're roasted. It's still, when people ask, well, is there chocolate in there? Yes and no. Yes, there is a little bit of chocolate, but a lot of that chocolate flavor comes from malt, which is still a barley product. It's the way they process it. They dark kilned it, and to the point where they get chocolate notes out of the barley. And our beers here at the pub are usually just real subtle on the flavor. You know, our chocolate beers, we want it so that you get just a taste of chocolate. We don't want to overbear you with a chocolatey syrup or something kind of flavor. All of our flavored beers, like raspberry ale and things we make in the springtime, which is coming up, by the way. It's just a hint of raspberry. It's not real syrupy. You know, we don't want to make a strawberry pop beer, but if we use strawberries, we want you to go and get just a little bit of strawberry flavor. But this is our chocolate porter. Just a little bit of chocolate note on it. It's a nice drinker. And the Bock beer. The Bock beers are one of those beers that I've told you some of the fun of craft beer is the history, the reason behind the style, the story. Bock beer is no different. Bock is a German word for male goat. So it's a billy goat. It's usually made for the springtime, March celebration, when the little billy goats are feeling frisky and going out in the pasture and kicking it up. The Bock beer is time for renewal, springtime celebration, Easter, the Lenten period, which is why it came to be. The monks supposedly checked into the books and the rules on fasting and found out that there was, apparently didn't include beer. So they went back to the brewery and brewed up a high gravity beer. It's 7+% alcohol, a lot of body. There's some smokiness and residual sweetness to this beer. And so, since they weren't going to be able to eat for a while, they came up with the Bock beer. Heavy body beer. You can drink a glass of that and you'll feel pretty full. So Bock beers tend to be one of those where maybe that won't be one of your last beers for the day. And maybe a smaller glass. But there you go. Yeah, so when you go off to your breweries, get a flight of beer. Check out the different varieties, colors, smells, taste. It's a way to check them out. Till then, be safe and thanks for having a beer with Wayne.